In the world of professional wrestling, rivalries are often built on championships, betrayals, or sheer ambition. But every once in a while, a storyline comes along that doesn't just blur the line between fiction and reality. It stomps right over it. One such feud turned heads, dropped jaws, and left fans stunned. It was brutal, emotional, and unforgettable. This is the story of how Randy Orton made things personal, violating the trust of his mentor, his ally, and his one-time leader, Triple H. Imagine standing helplessly as the man you once led to greatness now torments you in the most personal way possible. Not in the ring, not in a title match, but in your own home, with your own wife unconscious at his feet. And then he leans in and kisses her. Not out of love, but out of pure malice. This wasn't just wrestling. This was war. A psychological assault crafted to humiliate, to provoke, and to destroy. That's exactly what Randy Orton did, and it changed the landscape of WWE forever. It all started with Legacy, literally. The group known as Legacy was Randy Orton's creation, a stable formed with young second- and third-generation talents like Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase Jr. It was designed to carry on the traditions of wrestling greatness, but also to dominate through aggression and calculated fear. And leading the charge was Orton, colder and more sadistic than ever before. But Orton wasn't satisfied with just dominating the locker room. He wanted to break WWA from the inside out. And there was no better symbol of the WWA's power structure than the McMahon family and Triple H, the man who had married into that empire. The Game, the cerebral assassin, one of the most respected and dangerous figures in the business. But Orton wasn't intimidated. He was enraged. His motive? Revenge and retribution. Earlier in his career, Orton had been a part of Evolution, led by Triple H himself. But as Orton's star began to rise, it was Triple H who turned on him, booting him from the group in a brutal act of betrayal. That memory never left Orton. And now, years later, with power, momentum, and legacy behind him, he saw his moment for payback. What began as psychological warfare quickly escalated into physical destruction. One by one, Orton targeted the McMahon family. Vince McMahon was the first to fall, taken out with a shocking punt to the head on live television. Next was Shane McMahon, who fared no better. Orton's path was clear: break the family before breaking the man who married into it. And then came the most chilling moment of all. On an episode of Monday Night Raw, the camera cut to a scene that felt more like a crime thriller than a wrestling storyline. Stephanie McMahon, Triple H's wife, was attacked and left unconscious in the ring. The crowd watched in horror and then gasped. Randy Orton stood over her, emotionless. Then slowly, he leaned in and kissed her. An unconscious Stephanie. Right there, in the center of the ring. The arena went silent. This wasn't just crossing the line, it was obliterating it. Orton knew exactly what he was doing. It wasn't about titles anymore. It wasn't about wins and losses. It was about humiliation. It was about provoking Triple H to his absolute breaking point. And it worked. That moment ignited one of the most personal and emotionally charged rivalries WWE has ever seen. Triple H, who had once prided himself on being a calculating, cold strategist, now became something else entirely. A man driven by fury, by vengeance, by the need to protect what mattered most to him, not his legacy in the ring, but his family. The following weeks were electric. Promos turned into shoot-style threats. Matches became brawls that spilled outside the ring and into backstage chaos. Fans could feel the real emotion seeping through the screen. This wasn't a typical scripted rivalry. This felt raw. It felt painful. It felt personal. WrestleMania 25 was set as the battleground for this grudge match. And while some fans criticized the match for its strict rules, no disqualifications, unless Triple H got himself DQ, but the emotional weight going into it was unmatched. The build-up wasn't about titles. It wasn't about becoming number one. It was about a man avenging his wife and defending his family's honor. When the bell rang, it wasn't about wrestling technique. It was about rage. Triple H unleashed everything he had on Orton. Every punch was filled with personal pain. Every stomp felt like a message. This wasn't the game fighting for gold. This was Hunter Hearst Helmsley fighting as a husband. Triple H walked out of WrestleMania with the victory that night, but the scars of the feud ran deeper than the match itself. It showcased the potential of storytelling in WWE when it leans into real emotion, when it gives characters something truly human to fight for or against. Randy Orton walked away, not just as a villain, but as a psychological mastermind. He didn't just go after Triple H's body, he went after his soul. And in doing so, he cemented himself as one of the most dangerous and personal antagonists in WWE history. The Orton-Triple H rivalry wasn't built on simple hatred. It was built on betrayal, on emotional warfare, and on crossing lines that most wouldn't dare approach. It's a storyline that fans still remember, not for the championships involved, but for the sheer audacity of how personal it became. When Randy Orton kissed an unconscious Stephanie McMahon, he wasn't just attacking a family, he was declaring war on the very foundation of WWE. And for that, this feud remains one of the most chilling and unforgettable in wrestling history. If you enjoyed reliving this wild chapter of WWE, don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe for more deep dives into wrestling's most intense rivalries, and ring the bell so you never miss a moment. This was wrestling at its most raw, and we've got more stories where that came from. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.